Nevada is full of boom and bust ghost towns, places that ran out of the resources that sustained them. The miners who once lived in these towns preferred to move on to the next mine rather than learn how to live sustainably there. That was their choice, and they could. There were other mines. But what happens when there are no other places to move to? Humanity has populated almost every livable place on this planet. We have run out of desirable places to move away to. And if the big cities have their way, there will be even fewer places in the future. Like the ancient city-states in search of conquest, they wish to drain rural areas of what resources they have. And now, in return, send them their cities' waste, their industrial waste, and even their nuclear waste. One of the towns that didn't become a ghost town in rural Nevada is a small community in White Pine County called Ely. About 5,000 people live here, plainly only a tiny fraction of the populations of the cities hundreds of miles away. This community's remoteness has served both as a hindrance and an asset over the years. Recently, Ely's economy has been doing rather well. People have started to move here to breathe the clean air, enjoy the natural surroundings, and get away from the high-stress lifestyle of the cities. There is also a profitable mine nearby. In the past, only minerals were valuable enough to take, and their extraction only ruined limited sections of the local environment. But times have changed. Las Vegas wants rural Nevada's sparse water supplies, and power companies want to take even more water to operate up to 4 coal-fired power plants just in Ely's White Pine County. The total area affected by the water grabs will approach the size of Vermont. If you consider land affected, this will be the largest water grab in the nation's history. Southern Nevada Water Authority wants to drill for what little water the high deserts of rural Nevada have accumulated over tens of thousands of years and pipe it to Las Vegas, a city right next to the Colorado River. And Sierra Pacific wants to build a coal-fired power plant to run the pumps. Southern Nevada Water Authority, LS Power, and Sierra Pacific claim that turning rural Nevada's valleys into polluted dust bowls is the best option. They infer that it's the cheapest and most profitable. But for whom? Taking rural Nevada's water and leaving toxic waste can't possibly be profitable in the long run for rural Nevada, the state of Nevada, or the West for that matter. This is Glen Siding. It is near the primary location for where Sierra Pacific and Nevada Power intend to ship in trainloads full of coal for their power plant. LS Power, now Dynergy, intends to build another coal-fired power plant just a few miles north of here. As of now, this area is nothing more than a wide spot on a retired railroad track, hundreds of miles from any city. The railroad ties have rotted, the steel is rusted, and much of the rail will likely not be usable. Even the base needs extensive work. Repairs will cost $1 million a mile. There is no coal here. There is no trained workforce. There is no industrial infrastructure. And most importantly, there are virtually no customers. Of course, the utility companies see this as a positive trait. There are very few people here to stop them. As you can see in this scene, even in the dead of winter, there is plenty of wind and sun, which of course would not have to be brought in by train. Although the people who wish to exploit this area want us to believe that Nevada is essentially a wasteland, the locals know better. This herd of antelope was filmed on the exact location of the proposed power plant. Not only would they lose their home, but also the water that feeds the plant life they feed on. The winter habitat for herds of elk and deer are also at risk. With the coal-fired power plants, rural Nevada will have to endure yet another water pipeline network into 3 more valleys. Sierra Pacific claims that they will utilize only half the water of a conventional power plant. But the Mojave Generating Station in Laughlin, built in 1971, used proportionally about the same amount of water. Sierra Pacific claims that they will only require 8,000 acre-feet of water per year for their first power plant. That would only support 40,000 people, or an ecosystem as it does now. The physics of drawing water from wells is simple. Like a well in an aquifer, no matter how deep you put the straw in a cup, the water drops at the top. This kills the native vegetation in the valleys, which also kills what feeds on that vegetation. What the utility companies don't want us to know is that if we allow even one of the coal-fired power plants, we may as well say goodbye to most of the herds of antelope, elk, and deer that live here in the winter. But that may be the least of our worries. Increased carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is already increasing the acidity of our oceans, causing wildfires worldwide, perilously changing our weather patterns, putting as many as 1 million species at risk, and endangering the world's coastal cities with total destruction. This is a pine forest in rural Nevada. As you can see, the pine beetles have already killed a significant portion of the forest. Scientists believe that at least part of the reason the pine beetle are such a scourge now is because of global warming. 2006 was the warmest year in recorded history in the United States, 2.2 degrees warmer than average. Our winters are just not as cold as they used to be, and consequently, not as many pine beetles die off. This destruction isn't just happening in Nevada, it's happening from Arizona to Canada. Brian Head, Utah used to look like this. Within 10 years, almost all of this species of pine were dead. Our Douglas fir likely have less than 10 years left to live. And of course, more carbon in the atmosphere will likely reduce that window.